podcast 18. We're going to talk about dynamic and static stretching. Stay tuned. Straight or NoBSNutirition, I talk about 2 to 1 subjects. I go into more detail. Today I'm going to talk about one subject, static stretching and just dynamic stretching. Try to pronounce that right. I'm going to talk about it more in detail, of course. What should you do? What I would suggest, and let's get into it. Dynamic and static stretching. What is dynamic and static stretching? So dynamic, here's the definition on like the top left or right. Dynamic is a form of mobility, I would say, not stretching, mobility that you go into active play of motion. So let's say a forward lunge. The best example I can figure out, the forward lunge, right? Forward lunge, typically you will hold it for a period of time. But without static stretching, you're actually going back and forth about a 5-second hold. So you go forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back. And you probably do that for more repetition. So let's say 5 times. Versus static stretching, you might do that for repetition 3 to 2 times, but you hold 2 times or 3 times the amount of the original. So for dynamic, it was 5 seconds. Now static, you might hold it for 15 seconds. So you hold it, you lean forward, you count 15, and you go back. You can do that for 2 times. So the time frame is more amount for static stretching. Dynamic. I'm gonna say it right here. Dynamic. There we go. Figured it out. Dynamic stretching. During this process, stretching is a long period of time. Yeah. Dynamic is a shorter period of time. Just remember that. The benefits of both. So the benefits of both can kind of just explain this, but dynamic is a shorter period of time. So this is good to increase blood flow. You will do this before your workout to have some mobility. A lot of people like to categorize stretching is terrible before workout. In some sense, yes, it can decrease performance, but they get confused that you could possibly still do dynamic stretching, which is dynamic mobility, I would say, because you're not holding for a period of seconds, so your body doesn't get used to that performance. Of course, stretching or that form of mobility can be beneficial just because you will get more under the bar, you will feel more loose when you can do a squat, or you feel better when arching your back when doing a chest press. So I don't want you guys be so negative to both, but just remember you want to do dynamic mobility before your workout versus stretching before your workout, because what stretching is going to do is going to tell you about, hey, I want to be in this plane of motion for a long period of time. So that's not good when doing something active, like especially you doing let's say you're doing powerlifting, right? You want to be explosive. You want to do a 5x5 pretty quickly without losing a lot of strength. So with dynamic stretching, you're telling the body to be active in this plane of motion. So when you go on a squat, when you're squatting down in the eccentric phase, your ankle mobility is going down with it, versus you can have more prone to injury when telling the body to be more looser, more not hyper mobility, but more flexible than normal when doing heavy load. So for after a workout, I'd rather suggest to do dynamic mobility than before. Before a workout, stretch all you want. Stretch. Stretching is good before a workout because you're telling the body during that process of doing squats, axial loading is pretty much putting a lot of load on your spine. Tell your body to loosen up, and that's going to be good because you're not working out 24/7. After that 1 hour workout you just did or training session, you're done for the rest of the day. So you want to be more stretched out so your body doesn't stay in a stiff position. I will recommend to that. So after is static stretching, before is dynamic mobility. Okay, don't get this too confused. Should you do dynamic or static stretching? It depends. We just explained this. Pretty much what I would say, if you want to do static stretching, before your training session, just to recognize that you might not produce as much strength. You're telling your body to get used to this playing of motion for a long period of time, so you're stretching out your body. And just remember that you might not perform as well as if you didn't do it, okay? But that doesn't mean it's a total negative. Just remember that could be a negative to your, lifting. But if you do dynamic mobility, then it could be a good performance to get used to under the bar, not be too stiff. And also, you getting warmed up anyway, so you're going to have a lot of blood circulation. You get priming. That's also another form of priming. Priming is also another form, is doing like those leg swings you see people doing. You priming, you getting the body ready to actually go on the bar and do that set. Stretching is not the same as, stretching is not the same as dynamic mobility. It's not the same. Just because dynamic focuses on priming the muscles, then stretching stretch it out. And literally, it's in the name. Dynamic is different planes of motion. Static stretching is like one plane of motion. It's not multiple. It's different names. It's like comparing dynamic with static stretching, like Pepsi and Cola. They're not the same thing, even though they're similar in product and based on, they taste differently. It's like comparing Mountain Dew and root beer. Or no, it's like comparing Dr. Pepper and root beer. There are two different sodas. They look similar because of the color and how you probably grew up with it, but they're not the same. So do not get those confused. Dynamic is active plane of motion, multiple plane of motion. Static stretching is one plane of motion, longer period of times. Why dynamic is great before you're training, and why static stretching is great after you're training. Dynamic is good because you're telling the body to prime itself, but not to be in one plane of motion. So it's still active, still increasing blood flow, but you're not trying to stretch out the body so much that you lose performance with it. Same thing goes for static. You're not telling the body to, before your workout, to get super loose, and that can have prone to injury. And also, you're not telling the body to lose performance. You're telling the body to be comfortable, which that can be very negative when doing a 1 rep max. Versus doing dynamic, that's quick and easy. It saves you a lot of time too. And I'm not talking about dynamic mobility by doing these, or you see people doing this for 1 to 2 seconds. That's like active stretching. That's like really nothing. You see that in gyms a lot. You see that in, like, you probably did when you were a kid. That's nothing. Get on the floor, do some leg lunges, do some hamstring stretches. That's dynamic. Dynamic, really, you could do static stretching stuff with dynamic mobility. So let's say you do a leg hamstring stretch, like you get on the ground, you go forward, you touch your toes, you hold it, do that for 5 seconds, go back, go forward. And then also priming is one thing, priming is like the third thing. Priming is good too. Priming is similar to dynamic, but that priming is also just an active motion. A lot of athletes does that before doing a set. Now this is the best part because I'm going to show you how to perform it. I have some videos about it. You can look on my YouTube channel. They're very old, so just like 2 to 3 videos about dynamic stretching. But what I would recommend is go to MindPump. MindPump talks about dynamic. They talk about stretching. They talk about and also priming. They have literally 3 videos on the same thing. You can watch more in depth. They have videos how to perform these exercises. So if you want to do this, it's a great way to also do this and trying to learn. Before I finish the conversation, pretty much both is good. There's no one or all or negative. It's just keep in mind, it's like doing cardio after or before your workout. What would better perform your training session? After cardio or before cardio? Obviously, I don't want to do cardio before I do training because then I'll be tired. And even if mentally I'm not tired, physically my body just did a 30-minute cardio session. I want to do cardio after my training. So that's similar. So I want to do dynamic before my workout, before my training session, just to get blood flow, just to get like a good mobility range, tell the body to be active in that plane of motion of squatting, so they get comfortable arching under when doing a bench press, versus doing static stretching after I just went on that intensive load of exercises I just did. And trying to stretch out the body, trying to get comfortable in different positions when I sit down, so I don't be so tensed up and be so sore. And also the best form of these 3 things, actually prime, dynamic, and stretching, is just joint flexibility, priming, blood flow. I don't see a lot of older people at my gym doing it. I'm literally like the only one who's doing this type of stuff, and I'm guaranteed that not necessarily you can still hurt yourself with lightweight, similar to heavyweight, but I will have a low chance than having shoulder problems at my age, of course. Summary, we talk about dynamic and static stretching. We talk about how should you do it. We talk about what I suggest. We talk about depends what it is. And now that's it. This video was very quick. We talked about it very briefly, but that's really what you need to know. Like, there's no other forms of more to it other than if you want to look it up and trying to perform it, which I suggest MindPump. I'm gonna leave in the description below. But other than that, just remember you do dynamic before your training and you do stretching after. If you do both dynamic before and after, that could be good, but just remember to have a stretch day. You might need to stretch out those muscles than just do a dynamic 24/7. That's why I went wrong, and I feel much better doing dynamic, before my training session, and then feeling so much better doing stretching after my training session, because I'm telling my body to recover from that training session, to stretch it out, and I'm telling my body to be active during the training session and be comfortable under the bar and be a little bit flexible, so I won't be so stiff. Because also being so stiff under the bar, or just being stiff in general, can lead to an increase of injury. So keep that in mind. Try to have a balance. And the way to have a balance is just to do both. I would suggest that. But that's it for today's video. We talk about dynamic and static stretching. That's it for episode 18. If you guys have any questions or any comments below what ideas I should talk about, please put in the description, comment, so I know what I should talk about. I'll be making more podcasts just like these, so like and subscribe, please. Trying to engage with me. I'm really trying to push better content with these type of videos. That's really it for NoBSNutirition. Bye.